Today we're going to be breaking down some examples of good versus bad route running. So this first example here is going to be a bad example of Justin Jefferson using a release called a slide release in college, and then we're going to show a correct example of him using a slide release in the NFL playing for the Vikings, obviously. So it's the exact same type of route, exact same type of release versus the exact same type of coverage, okay? So what is a slide release? First things first, a slide release is where off the line of scrimmage, you tend to have this patient slide to the outside angle that this DB's outside shoulder and his outside hip. So a lot of times what wide receivers will do is they'll do this slide release. DB will jump to the outside. They'll put a move on and run a slant. Slide release is most commonly used on a slant, but it's also commonly used on a fade. So what guys will do is they'll slide to the outside, and DBs are taught. This is literally something that DBs are taught is when a receiver slides to the outside, sit to the inside and expect that he's trying to slip back under us. So when we do that and we slide to the outside and this DB sits to the inside, we could just take off and go and beat him with speed. They call that a slide and go release. Now, Justin Jefferson tries to do this slide and go release, but he makes the mistake of going too flat. And that's something that you want to try to avoid as a wide receiver at all costs. So let's go back to this. Let's break it down. So when we come off the ball, guys, our goal on this slide and go release is to make this DB make a decision. We want to make him either jump and play the fade or sit to the inside and play the slant. So when I slide at his outside shoulder and his outside hip, I have to attack vertically. I almost want to slide at like a 45-degree angle in a sense. But what Justin Jefferson does here is when he slides off the ball, you see how he goes lateral. He goes flat towards the sideline. So what that allows this DB to do is he could play both routes. He could sit disciplined inside leverage and stay to his leverage. So if we try to run a slant or take an inside release, he's right there. And because we went flat, this DB could sit inside shade, and there's this big gap of space between us. So if I try to push up vertical and go outside, he could cut me off to the aiming point, which is what he ultimately does. So we have to, guys, we have to attack his outside shoulder and outside hip and push vertical. So because he goes flat, DB's able to cut it off, squeeze us to the sideline, and then be able to make a play on this ball. So when I do this slide release, like we said, you guys, we have to attack vertical. Make this DB make a decision. Now, we're going to talk about this professional example of Jefferson working this release. But before we get into this, you guys, if you're a wide receiver and you would like a daily workout schedule that you can follow, check out that very first link in the description below for our Elite Wide Receiver Off-Season Training Package. What you'll get access to is an 8-week daily on-field wide receiver route running workout schedule. So Monday, you're doing this field workout, Tuesday this, Wednesday rest day, etc. We give you the exact sets and reps and a video example of each on-field drill. Then we also include an 8-week gym schedule specifically for receivers, where in the gym on Monday you're doing this, Tuesday this, Wednesday off day, etc., with examples of each gym exercise and the sets and reps to follow. Plus, we also include a full 4-week speed development workout plan to help your speed improve as a wide receiver. So guys, if you're looking to improve as a wide receiver this offseason, check out that very first link in the description below. Again, very first link in that description below. Let's get back to this video. So now let's look at this example from Justin Jefferson. So he does the same type of release. Remember with my slide, I can't go flat on the slide because this DB could sit inside shade and play the slant, and he could cut us off to the fade angle. So watch what he does. So when he attacks vertical here, when he slides, he goes more vertical because it's all about just getting this DB by a step. If I could just beat this DB by a step, especially at the NFL level, you're going to have a very, very easy time making plays downfield because quarterbacks are so talented, right? And this is, at the end of the day, all we need on this DB is we need to beat him by a step, right? So let's talk about why it's able to work. So now, remember, guys, a lot of you might be thinking, well, what if I slide and I go vertical and I have to go run a fade and this DB jumps to the outside? Guys, what we could do is we could just put the brakes on and take the inside release because this DB overcommitted and jumped to the outside. That's the great part about this slide release. It's so reactionary based. If that DB wants to jump and take it away, cool. I can put the brakes on and go. But we attack at that 45 to make him make a decision. He either has to play the fade, giving me the inside release, or sit to the inside and gives me the outside release to beat him with my speed. So guys, if I'm going to do this slide and go, this hesitation and go, make sure we are attacking vertical. Make the DB make a choice. So that's a great example and great improvement, obviously, from Justin Jefferson from his time in college and then obviously with his time with the Vikings. Okay, so now this next example of bad route running here is going to be from Garrett Wilson. And then we're going to be showing a clip of Stephon Diggs working a similar route versus, well, actually it's the exact same route, just maybe a little bit deeper, but it's versus the exact same type of coverage look. So guys, he has to run this like 10-yard out route, and he has an inside shade press coverage guy, right? So when a DB's lined up inside shade, we know this from the last example, his goal is to not let us get to the inside. So not let us run a slant, a post, a dig, hold that leverage. You don't have any help to the inside. Your help is going to be the sideline, right? So his goal is to not let us go inside, but also force us out of bounds, or as close as he can to the sideline, to not give the quarterback any room to throw us on our out route, our comeback, our corner, our fade, whatever the case may be. The sideline is his help. So if I have to run this 10-yard out and I have a guy who's inside shade, what I want to do is I want to try to make him think off the line that I'm going inside, and then I want to try to get hip to hip with him and get skinny all the way up to my break point and cut and give my quarterback as much room as I can to lead me open. So let's watch what Garrett Wilson does here, because he does a good job of kind of freezing the DB off the line, but he doesn't get skinny, and that makes it an insanely challenging throw for the quarterback when we cut down the amount of field space he has to lead me, and I have a DB right on my hip. So let's talk about it, right? So he comes off the ball, does a good little split release, kind of gets this DB to freeze, stop his feet, hold his leverage to the inside, but right at this point, this is the problem. You see how his hips and his shoulders are almost facing towards the line of scrimmage. So his release, if you were to draw it up on paper, would look like that, rather than vertical and then break to the 10-yard out. So when we go wide like this, you guys, it screws up the quarterback's timing, his footwork timing with the route, and we're just not giving him enough space. So off of this example right here, you guys, Wilson should not go wide like this and go negative. Not only does that take a little bit more time, but we're cutting down the amount of field space that we have. If he does this release, he needs to get hip to hip and go straight past this DB and push up vertical. Now, a lot of you might be thinking, well, if I run that tight to a DB, he's going to get hands on me. I don't want him to get hands on me. I don't want to get jammed. We can't forget that I also have hands of my own off the line of scrimmage. It's all about having a plan with your feet, setting up a DB with your feet, and then keeping the upper half and the hand technique totally simple. If this DB shoots this inside, so like to take an outside release, right? Keep it simple. If I want to take an outside release, which hand of the DB's prevents the outside release? His inside hand or his outside hand? It's his outside hand. If he gets hands on me with this inside hand, I'm still able to get off the press. I'm still able to get up into my route and maintain timing with my quarterback, right? But if he jams me with this outside hand, that might hold me at the line and I may not be able to get my clean outside release. So my mindset as a receiver is I just got to beat that outside hand. If I do that release and I get him to hold, my mindset should be I'm going to chop this hand, I'm going to rip underneath, but that's my point of focus. But I can't run away from it, because when I run away from it, look at how much field space he's cutting down. He breaks, and when you got a DB on your hip and not that much room, that quarterback should honestly have just thrown that thing way out of bounds, because that's a pick six waiting to happen. Now, let's look at this example here from Stephon Diggs and what he does. Inside shade guy, so he comes off the ball, he's in this little hesitation move, but watch when he pushes vertical how much he gets into the DBs, giving the quarterback room to lead him. That is a quarterback-friendly route right there. If we just came off the ball, and imagine if his hips and his shoulders were almost like facing that sideline like we saw from Garrett Wilson. If he does that, he takes this really long angle and then breaks out, he's got no room, especially with his alignment on the field, because he's fairly close to the top of the numbers. So he's like an outside receiver in this case. So he comes off, he gets skinny, right? Getting hip to hip with the DB, leaning into him with your shoulder, leaning into him with your elbow a little bit, all the way up to the break point is a way where when you cut, they call this a chicken wing move, where you're essentially pushing off with your elbow. That's not going to be called as a push off, guys. That's not going to be a flag. You're just using your momentum to lean up against the DB and giving your quarterback space at the exact same time. So let's play this thing again, full speed from Stephon Diggs one more time. Great example of how you guys can get skinny when you have an outside breaking route versus inside press.